everyone, as promised, I'm going to show you how to meal prep for your week so that way you can be successful and you won't have to worry about grabbing things that are easier because it's already going to be easy. All you have to do is dedicate one day to make sure you get all of it done, and all of it's going to get cleaned up so you don't have to stress about your time during the week and you don't have to stress about making a mess every night cooking clean at home. So the first thing that I wanted to show you was when you go grocery shopping, you do not want to leave all of your vegetables and fruits and fresh herbs to go bad. You want to immediately prep those. So that's the first thing I do when I go grocery shopping. I come home, for example, if I have herbs, if it's a whole plant, I'll pick the leaves off, I'll wash them, rinse them, and then let them dry. You have to let them dry before you chop them. And then if you buy the prepackaged ones, you can just rinse them off and let them dry again. You have to rinse them unless it says it's already washed. Usually they're not. So you can do it the old-fashioned way with a chef knife, or I showed you in another video, you have a food processor and you use the blade. You just put all of your herbs in there and then pulse it. When you pulse it, it allows a little bit of air to get in, so that way you're not making a paste. You want to pulse it so that way you're just grinding the leaves up. And then what I do is I freeze my herbs. I use these really cool little compact containers that I got at the store. I think there was like $7 for a 3-pack of these. There's small ones and there's large ones. I put these in there. I have parsley, tarragon, basil, and then I didn't have enough of containers, so I just used a plastic baggie for my cilantro. The plastic baggies don't keep as long, but they keep for quite a while. So the one that you use the most is the one I would put in the plastic baggie, so that way you're not letting it get freezer burnt. Next freezer tip that I want to show you is making large portions of something. So for example, when you make lasagna, you're going to make a big pan of lasagna. You're not going to eat all of that, and you don't want to eat lasagna for the entire week. If you're okay with that, if you're okay with eating leftovers the same day for the entire week, more power to you, that's amazing. But I tend to get bored if I eat it for more than 2 or 3 days in a row. So what I do is I portion out what I'm going to use for the week, and then I take a container and I freeze the rest. So then when we're running late for another week, or it's just getting to that point where we're not going grocery shopping yet, we're waiting for our next paycheck to come so we can go grocery shopping, anything like that, I can just pull this out and thaw it, and we have dinner that night. So that's another great tip, is freezer meals. The next quick tip that I have is rotisserie chicken. You don't want to roast your own chicken. They have these awesome rotisserie chickens. I like this brand because the chicken is no added hormones, no artificial ingredients. It's raised without antibiotics. It's vegetarian fed and no preservatives. So I know it's healthy. And then I use mostly the breast. The legs are okay, but if you're trying to lose weight, you want to try to stick with the breast. So for my chicken salad recipe that I actually have in my Fixate cookbook, it calls for rotisserie chicken. You just take the breast off, chop it up into cubes, and mix it with your dressing. If you're interested in the Fixate cookbook, message me and I will definitely hook you up with it. I love the recipes in this book. There hasn't been one that I was disappointed with yet. I really, really do like it, and a lot of other people have been giving me good feedback on it. And there's still recipes that I haven't tried in there, so it's 101 recipes. It's quite a selection. So rotisserie chicken is definitely good to try. The next quick tip is garlic. You can buy the garlic that's already minced. It comes in either jars or it comes in larger bottles. Depends on how much you use. I use quite a bit of garlic, so I actually just went from the jar to the bottle. I used to chop it myself. Like I said, you can use the chef knife again, or you can use the food processor. It depends on if you really, really want to save. A good saving tip is to always do it yourself. If you have time to do the work, you will save money. But if you don't always have the time, you just buy already prepared. So what I want to show you is preparing things so they don't go bad. So So I got a pineapple. If I let this sit on the counter, I'm not going to get to it. I'm going to say, oh, I'll have that later, or I'll have that later, because I have to work for it. Then it's going to go bad, and then I'm going to get upset because I wasted my money. So I'm going to cut it now, and I'm going to portion the pineapple out so my husband can take some to work with him, and also I can have some at home. So for my husband, I like to put it in his designated work containers. That way he knows that that's what he's taking. It's easy for him to open the refrigerator, grab it and go, and not have to worry about whose is whose. Since we're both trying, fresh pineapple has so many benefits for you, but you have to be careful with the fresh pineapple because it can burn your tongue a little bit. It has enzymes in it that want to eat the muscle in your tongue. So just eat a couple pieces of it when it's this fresh, when you first release it from the core and from the outside. So you want to cut around the core because the core is really, really hard. Yeah, you could probably eat it, but it's not really that great. If you don't want to waste it and you're into juicing or smoothies, you could probably use the core if you have a really, really high power blender. So I just pre-slice it. It really doesn't take that long. So these are my husband's containers. So I fill 2 containers up for him, and then whatever's left over, I'll fill up for me, or I'll eat it if I haven't had my serving of fruit yet that day. But I actually just had my Shakeology for lunch today, so I'm not that hungry right now. Okay, so this one goes over here, and I'll fill another one, and it actually goes quite a long way. So it's a lot more juicy and sweet when you do it fresh versus when it's canned or in those little plastic containers. You notice a big flavor difference. And a lot of the nutrients remain intact. Okay, so now I've used up all of my husband's containers. So now I'm going to get out my purple fruit container for my meal plan. Okay, that's a lot of pineapple. And I get 3 of those every day of different fruit, and I like to give myself quite a variety. I'm just gonna fill that up, put the lid on, and then I can just grab it and go. Now the leftover pineapple, you can either eat it, or you can put it in another little container. So I usually have a bigger container to fit the leftovers in, and we can just grab it to snack on when we want it. Now when you're using your cutting boards, you always want to make sure you wash them in between different fruits and vegetables, especially meats, because you don't want to cross-contaminate. You never know what's on any given food. You definitely want to wash all of your produce before, but just in case, so you want to wash your cutting board in between switching over to foods. They actually make really awesome color-coded cutting boards that I found at Target, so you can designate each, like vegetables, fruits, meats, certain things like that. Okay, so moving on from fruits to vegetables. Now, I like to cook zucchini a lot. I will put it in my eggs. I will put it in pancakes. I will eat zucchini just fried or for a snack, or I will cut it so it's shaped kind of like noodles, and I will put it with marinara sauce. So you call them zoodles, and so it's zucchini noodles. It's replacing the pasta with vegetables. That way, if you're limiting your carb intake, you can have more vegetables in your diet. So for the zoodles, I leave it long, or I cut it in half so it's easier to eat. And then you slice it in half, and then you just go down very thin slices. Now, always make sure you're keeping your fingers back so you don't slice your fingers off. Make sure to hold your fingers like this. Or you can do this with a special tool. This is what you're going to want out of the zoodles. You can use a special tool that you just push it through and you crank it, and it actually makes noodles out of the zucchini for you. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way like I'm doing. And I will actually do the same thing when I saute them. Just a little bit of olive oil in your pan. You saute them, put a little bit of sea salt and pepper, and it's delicious. Or basil or Italian seasoning is really good. If you're doing the zoodles, I like to do a little bit of Parmesan on it, but make sure you're using your portions wisely. You only want 1 healthy fat a day, and you want to make sure you're not using cheese and another healthy fat unless you're doing half and half. So that way you're not ruining your portions, because you have to get all of your food groups in the proper amounts. So I'm just going to finish this zucchini up this way. Now, I can do in the food processor, so I can put it in my eggs or in my pancakes. In my pancakes, I really like it to be all ground up so you don't really notice it's there. It's kind of like zucchini bread, and it sneaks vegetables into your pancakes, and the kids don't even know it. And if you're an adult that hates vegetables, you don't even know it. You really don't taste it. Another way that you can do zucchini is just to cut it in half twice and then simply just chop. Make sure you're getting even slices, even thickness, so that way they cook the same. This is especially really good for sauteing or putting into your eggs. I actually put zucchini in my lasagna this way. I just cut it really thin and really small, so you know it's there, but it's not overwhelming. And then, if you are on a special diet where you can't have the seeds inside, you have to slice it in half again, and then take your knife diagonally and get the seeds out. All of this is seed. Now, I don't mind the seeds, so I'm going to reuse it, but after that you would just slice. Okay, and you can do that with any squash. Summer squash, yellow squash, zucchini squash, any of the soft squashes. So if you don't want your zucchini to get soggy, you can just chop it up and prep it that way and fry it as you use it. Or you can actually freeze what you put in the processor, so that way you can use it in your pancakes. It's really, really good. Just like zucchini bread, you can thaw it out, put it in there, and it's the moisture that really makes the pancakes really good, just like the same purpose for zucchini bread.